Alright, what's up everyone? Just here with a build guide today for my Frostbolt cast on crit comet build. Couple keynotes, and then I'm going to just have some mapping and bossing gameplay. My wand is pretty good, not exactly what I'd want. Has obviously +5 to cold. The corrupted +1 level of all physical doesn't entirely help. Extra lightning damage is good. Cold damage, I wish it had cast speed, but it does make up for it with the 88% of spell damage with spells that cost life, because every one of my spells costs life. We are in the Blood Mage. We take blood magic, so everything costs life. We have Zealot's Oath, so that along with my Anoint, which is fast metabolism, it allows me to take any extra life regen and apply it to my energy shield, and I have a lot of that. We have Arcane Surge for our life, along with 40% increased effect of Arcane Surge, along with probably the most important part of the build, which is tribute to Tech Rod. Specifically, the defilement, the soul amount doesn't matter. All you need is a Tech Rod jewel, so you can get Sacrifice of Blood, and you typically want this around a one of the large notables that you're not going to use anything else, because it turns everything else into tribute. I've thought about going into this slightly just for life recovery rate, but I can't figure out if it'd be worth it or not. But yeah, so because of this, when I'm in my hideout, you can see that I'll be losing a lot of life. However, you can see my life regen per second. It's just going to keep climbing, and eventually I hit a breakpoint, which I already have, where my life regen is more than my cast amount cost. And so this, combined with life leech from the Blood Mage skill tree, where is it, right here, to this node here specifically, because all of my spells always crit. So with this, I am able to have 5% of that damage go to breaking armor, which any damage after that is applied at, I believe, a 20% extra value. And other than that, nothing insanely special. We take all of the meta energy nodes. I have a Megalomaniac that allows me to get dynamism, and I wasn't able to get barbaric strength like I wanted, so I went with perpetual freeze instead, because if I'm on all frost build, I have very good freeze build up, and the rest of the skill tree is taking practically any crit damage bonus node that I can. Nothing too special about that. I am not level capped yet. Leveling's kind of a bitch. Regardless of the modifiers, there's only a certain modifier that I can't run, which is anything that is a higher percent of less recovery of life, mana, and energy shield, because that kind of goes against the grain of the build and kind of fucks with what you can do. We're running at Xeri's Acuities. These are almost essential for the build. They give extremely high crit chance if you can get high ones, and the leech from critical hits is instant, and that is pretty important considering we are crit capped. Our main skill is cast on critical with Comet. Mine is level 35. We get an extra 3 levels from Uhtred's Augury, and then we're using Atuli's Bloodletting, which, going along with all of the other blood magic damage we are doing, it is giving us a lot of extra fizz as life cost. So our Comet is doing around 7 million per average use. We have 2 of the 3% increased max life, so we have a 12% increased max life off of our belt. We have 58% increased max life off of our Veil of Night. The no elemental resistance does not come into effect as much as I thought it would. It really isn't that much of a problem with the amount of life regen we have. We have to get hit by something pretty big or a big burst damage from a lot of enemies to die. Our amulet is incredible. We have +4 level of all spells, crit damage bonus, major cast speed, life, pretty much everything our build needs. This is one of the cornerstones of my build. I do not have a maxed 12% damage. However, the spells costing additional life does not matter for us because it just attributes to more life regen. 6% increased critical hit chance per 100 max life gives us a lot of extra crit hit chance. That's why we're crit capped. If we take this off, we go down to 43%. So this is giving us over 50% of our crit hit chance. And our deal 11% increased damage per 100 life is another big defining factor on a lot of our damage. Other than that, we are using boots with 100% increased socketed effective items, and we're just throwing life nodes or life runes in there. And that's about it for the gear. Nothing else too special. Our rings are pretty typical. It's just strength, cold damage. Cold damage to attacks doesn't even matter because we're a spellcaster. It's just on the ring anyways. Cast speed, life. Pretty much anything that can apply to cast speed, life, and extra cold damage is all that we need. In terms of gems and setups, we have Frostbolt with Cold Mastery, considered casting, rapid casting, and we have Sion's Temper with Valenta's Propulsion. So with Sion's Temper, this is the whole reason why my spells can cast in circular motion like that. It makes it very good for map clearing. And then on cast on critical, we're using Boundless Energy because the 45% increased energy gain is extremely important. Uhtred's Augury to give 3 levels. Atuli's Bloodletting for an insane amount of fizz damage, and Heft to support that fizz damage. Our total fizz damage is 614,000 to pretty much 1.2 million. And our average hit with crit and all the other damage on top is about 7 to 10 mil per, and you'll see that when we do the bosses.
Kill the storm. The Wildwood's power is mine. You hate us for wanting to exist. We that fail.